Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be going through the second part of our NumPy series where we learn NumPy by building mini projects because I believe that the best way to learn is by doing. So for these projects, I'm going to be building like a daily habits productivity analysis tracker. What I want to do is that I want to analyze my daily sleep habits and also my study hours, screen time, exercise, mood, etc. So I want to analyze all these daily habits to know how they affect my productivity and mental well-being. So I'll be working with this data simulated over 30 days. The data is going to be like fictional, by the way. It's not real. So the plan is to break it into weeks and figure out all these patterns. So I want to know if I feel better when I sleep more, which week was my most productive, are weekends different from weekdays, and what a good week actually looks like based on the numbers. So this project is mainly to apply real NumPy concepts in a meaningful and personal way. So yeah, here are the steps I'm going to be taking. So first, I'm going to understand the data. So I'm going to know all of these things, and I'm also going to break down the data into weeks. And step three, I'm going to decide the weekly metrics to calculate. So I can pick, after I've broken down all of this into weeks, I'm going to analyze like my average sleep per week, my average study or work hours, average screen time, average mood, and the best versus worst day in each week. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to do is that I want to import my data. So here's, I've already created the data, I've stored it in an array, and I saved it in a NumPy file. So let me just run this. So as you can see over here is our data. So we have like 30 days of fictional data. Here's the days, and this will be like the sleep hours. I think this will be the study hours, the work hours, the exercise metrics, and the mood score. So yeah, now what I want to do now is that I want to store this into like a variable. Let me just put it into a variable like this. I'm going to name it data. Let me run this. So now that I've stored it into a variable, the next thing I want to do is to print the array shape and the first few rows. So to print the array shape using NumPy, it's pretty easy. I'm just going to use like the shape attribute of NumPy. So here it's showing us that we have like 30 rows and 6 columns. Another thing I can do is to just check the number of dimensions, and here it's showing us that it's like 2 dimensions, and by dimensions I mean, let me just run the data real quick. So yeah, for 1 dimension, this is just basically like 1 row, and for 2 dimensions it's similar to like a table, so it has like rows and columns. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So now that we've understood all of this, the next thing I want to do is that I want to make sure if the values are reasonable. So we shouldn't have like any negative sleep values or mood that are out of range. So, and yeah, I guess we could check it like this, but if you want to like use like a function to determine this, the first thing I can do is first let me try to select all of this using this sign. So this will just give me like the list of all the data. So now with the first thing I want to like analyze is the sleep the sleep hours. So I want to know if there are no negative sleep values. So that would be like the index number 1 because we're on the second column. That would be 1. So when I run this, it's just going to retrieve all the sleep values. So now the next thing I want to do is that I could just say less than 0. So as you can see here, it's showing false, which means we don't have any negative sleep values. So the next thing I want to check is to know if the mood is out of range. And by out of range is that it has to be within the range of 1 to 10, which means it shouldn't be more than 10 and less than 0. So to check out the sleep, the mood score, this is the mood score. So when I count this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that will be the index number 5. So let's just do it over here. That'll be the data and the index number 5. First, let me run this to see what it retrieves. So yeah, it's exactly what we need. So I want to know if there are any values that are less than 1, showing false. So we don't have any values that are less than 1. And another thing I can check is that we shouldn't have any values that are greater than 10. And of course, we're going to get a false. So yeah, that's pretty much all we need to do here. So as you can see over here, our data makes sense. So the next thing I want to do is that I want to split my data into weekly chunks. And what I mean is that normally we have 30 days. So I want to break it down into weeks. So we have like 7 days in a week, which means I might have to divide 30 by 4. 4 weeks makes a month, right? So the function I'm going to use here is that I'm going to use the split function. And let me just do a showcase of this first to show you what it does. When I put like data over here, and I'm going to specify like how many times I want it to split it. So for now, I'm going to pick 4. When I run this, okay, since we have an error over here, so let's check it out. So it's saying array split does not result in equal division. Oh, okay, it seems like perhaps we can't really divide 30 by 4. So an alternative we can do is that this function that allows us to split even if they are uneven split is the array split function. Let's try it out. And yeah, I guess we managed to like get through this. So what this does is that this function allows us to divide by values even if we're going to get like some leftovers, right? So it finds a way to split it in a meaningful way. So for the first week we have like 8 days, and the second week we also have like, I think we also have like 8 days. For the third week we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have 7 days. And for the last week we also have 7 days. So I guess we can work with this, right? We can pretty much work with this. So now that we managed to like split our array, we can move forward to calculating our weekly metrics. So the first thing I can get to know is that I can try to understand the average sleep per week, the average work hours per week, and the average screen time and the mood for each week. And then I can also find the best and worst days per week. So to do that, so first let me try to retrieve like let me put a variable into this first. So I'm just going to name it weekly data. So now that I've stored this into a variable, to retrieve like the first week, what I can do is that I can just use like the index 0. So that will retrieve like the first week for us, right? So one thing I can do, the first thing I want to get to know is the average sleep for this particular week, right? So to know the average sleep, what I can do is that I'm just copy this, paste it down here. So first let me retrieve all of it first, right? So that would be 0 for the weekly, something like this. I just want to check. Okay, so let me try 1 over here, right? I just want to retrieve the sleep, just for the sleep, and let's see what it does. This is what I'm going to do. So yeah, one thing I can do is that I can store this into week 1, right? I'm just gonna put like week 1 over here. I think we're not gonna have like an issue with this. So we have week 1, and I can create like a variable for week 2. So that will be weekly data 1. Let me just copy and paste all of this so it'll be much faster. So, and this would be like week 3, and this will be 2. This will be week 4, and this will be 3. Okay, so now let's run this first. Let me just run this first real quick. So we've stored all of this into a variable, so I don't really need this anymore, right? Let me delete this. So we managed to store all of this into a variable. So now what I can do is that I might have to create like another comment to make this. Let me create a new cell under here. I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it down here, and this also, right? So let me put a comment into here, into variables. So yeah, let me now try to like understand. So when I run week 1, it's just going to like retrieve week 1 for us, right? So much easier that way. So now with this data, I can get to understand the average sleep. So to know the average sleep, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to use the index. That'll be the index 1, right? So when I run this, it's just going to retrieve the sleep for us, right? Let me try index 0. Okay, so let me just try it for all first, and then that will be 1. Let me run this. Okay, this is exactly what I need. So now I can now determine the average with this. So I'm just going to use the mean function. That will be np.mean, and now I'm just going to store it inside here. So that will be, let's check out the average for this. So we have like 6.9 for the average. So I'm gonna end up printing it all of them down here. So let's determine for week 2, right? So I'm just gonna paste this. Let me copy this. I'm just gonna copy all of this. So for week 2, so this will be, it's the same thing we're trying to know, right? So week 3 and week 4. So I can just run all of this. Actually, not really. It's determine the average for all. So yeah, now what I can do, I can just say week 1 average sleep. So just to average sleep. Week 2 average sleep. Okay, so let me run all of this. So now I can just retrieve them one by one, right? Let me just put another cell down here real quick. So not here. I want it to be under here. Okay, now I can just call out week 1 average sleep instead of all of it, right? When I run this, it's just going to give me like the average sleep for week 1. So I want to know which, we have like 6.9 over here, right? For week 2, let me check it out real quick. So we have also 6.9 for week 2. Okay, let me check out for week 3. They're kind of like similar, right? So we have like 7.1. So we had like so I had like way higher sleep in week 3. So this tells me something. Let me check out week 4. So as the week goes on, it seems like my sleep score is getting better, right? 7.0, right? So week 3 is kind of like the highest right now. So let me just confirm one more time. So week 3 is kind of like the week had the best sleep. So another thing I can try to understand is that I also want to know like work hours, screen time, and mood for each week. So I'm just gonna do this real quick, so let me first try to retrieve week 1. Let me run another cell down here. For week 1, let me just run it real quick. So yeah, and I think this will be the work hours. I think, let me confirm up here real quick. So we have sleep. That will be the study hours. So we don't have like a work hours, right? We don't have work hours, so we only have study hours. So my average study hours, I want to know when I'm most productive, right? So for the study hours, that would be like the index 2, right? So what I can do is I can just copy and paste all of this, paste it all down here, and all I'm going to do is that actually, wait a minute, I think it's this I'm going to copy. That will make it way easier. So I'm going to copy and paste all of this. So I'm going to switch this to study, and now that will be the index 2, right? I'm also going to switch this to study, so this will also be 2. All of this will be 2. So I want to know when I was most productive. So let me run this. So let me put another cell down here. So let's check out week 1 average study. So that will be 5. So the average study hours is like 5 hours, right? Let's check it out for week 2. I can just switch this to 2. Also 5.0. Okay, let's check out week 3. Okay, since we have kind of like the same, so this doesn't really tell us much, you know. Yeah, okay, so this is way lesser. Week 4. So it seems like as the week progresses, my study hours is going down. So okay, cool. But yeah, on average, my study hours is around 5 hours, which is pretty good. So yeah, another thing I want to know is like my average screen time. So to do that, let me just put another cell down here. Let me run week 1. Okay, so it seems we have an issue. I think it's like this, right? Okay, so what would be like our screen time, right? Our screen time is the third column, right? So that will be in the index 3, I think. So this is like 1, 2, 3. So this would be our screen time. So okay, this would be our screen time. So for that, I'm just going to use the index 3. Let me copy all of this, and I'm just gonna paste it down here. So that would be screen. So I'm just gonna switch all of this to 3. Okay, so let me put another cell down here. So let me check for week 1 average screen. So 4 hours, approximately 4.3 hours. Let me check for week 2. So this is just telling me how long I've been distracted the most. So the lesser is better in this case, right? So 4.3 for week 1, week 2 4.38. Which one is week 1 real quick? This one is 4.38. So week 1 is 4.31. So week 2 is way higher. Let me check for week 3. This one is 4.32. Okay, let me check for week 4, I think. Let me check for week 4. 4.5. So week 4 is way worse. So in that case, I think week 1 is the lowest. In this case, I think week 1 or week 3. Not quite sure. 4.31. Let me confirm week 3. 4.32. So week 1 is like way lower. So it seems like as the week progresses, like my screen time is increasing, right? I guess we can just show that. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I think the last thing I want to check is the mood for each week. So I want to know how my mood is falling, rising and falling. So let me just put another cell down here. Let me just run week 1 real quick. Okay, so this will be the mood, right? So the index for the mood will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be 5, right? I think. Yeah, that'll be 5. So I'm just gonna copy all of this as usual, and I'll change this to mood. So okay, yeah, let me run this. So let me put like another cell below. Let me copy this and paste it down here. Let me see my average mood for week 1. So 6.5, pretty high. Let me check for week 2. 6.6. It's rising. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Week 3, 6.5. And then let me check for week 4. Also 6.5. Because it says my milk score is like rising, because so that's pretty much a good sign. Week 1 is kind of like the worst. Or was it week 2? Or week, not quite sure. Yeah, I had the highest mood score in week 2, I think. And week 3 and week 4 are just pretty much steady, pretty similar. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much a good sign. My mood is like rising pretty much, and I had the highest mood score in week 2. So yeah, one thing I can do to not make this video too long, I could just try to like understand what made my mood rise in week 2. Perhaps like I had like a pretty high productive hour, or like a pretty low screen time. So I can try to determine what made my mood rise, since now that I know that my mood score is like high in week 2. Let me just check real quick. Perhaps I had like a high study hour during that period, right? So I'm just gonna check real quick. Or like I had a low screen time or exercise. I haven't even done that, but that doesn't matter. So yeah, this will make this video way too long. My study hour is like 5.0. So let me check my screen. Plus, like my screen time is low by that period, 4.3. Perhaps this is what caused my mood to rise in week 2. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. That's what we wanted to check for this video. So what I want to do now is I'm just gonna print our results in a clean way, some to make it much more easier to present. Okay, so I managed to create all the print statements that we're going to need. So when I run this, it's going to present our results in a much more cleaner way. So here I'm just printing for week 1 the average sleep, the average study hours, average screen time, and mood score, and I just replicated all of this for the rest of the weeks. So let me try to run this. And as you can see down here, it's much more cleaner to look at. Here's week 1 average sleep hours, the average study hours, average screen time, and average mood score. So looking at this, I can just try to determine when I had the highest mood score, the highest average sleep. So when I look at this, I can see that I had the highest average sleep in week 3. So what I can do now is I can check if it affects my mood score in any way. So when I look at this, my mood score here is 6.57. So in a way, I guess he affected it, but when I had the highest mood score, that was in week 2. So I can just check what made my mood score rise this high. Perhaps it's my low screen time or study hours or average sleep. But based on this, I can't really tell, but something definitely happened that day that made my mood score jump. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. We managed to present our results in a much more cleaner way. I couldn't get through all of this. There are so many things we can do with this data. I can check instead of breaking it out weekly, I can check like the best day when I had like the highest sleep or the highest study hours. I can check the best day when I was the most productive. So there's so many things I can do with this data set, but to not make this video too long, I'm just going to wrap it up here, and perhaps I might make a part 2. So I hope this video was helpful. So we learned so many things. We imported our libraries on our data. So we learned about how to check out the shape and the number of dimensions in our array. We also learned about getting rid of values that doesn't make any sense, and we learned how to split data into chunks, and we calculated some weekly metrics. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment down below. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.